Welcome to Olympian Cares, giving you the best in water testing and analysis. We're looking at the Department of Health website, and there's an interesting fact sheet for the gasoline oxygenates in drinking water. But first, let's define what are gasoline oxygenates. So oxygenates are man-made chemicals that are added to gasoline to make it burn more efficiently. Now, when you add oxygenates to gasoline, it increases the gasoline's octane level and reduces pollutants, and that particularly carbon monoxide. And they're emitted from motor vehicles, and oxygenates are liquid at room temperature. They evaporate easily into the air and generally have distinctive odors, and they might be disagreeable depending on the specific oxygenate. Most oxygenates are either alcohols or ethers, and they're extremely soluble in water. And two common oxygenates are ethanol and MTB. And MTB is no longer used as an oxygenate in New York State. However, other oxygenates are DIP, TAEE, ETBE, TAA, TAME, and TBA. So the danger here is, how do they get into drinking water? Well, oxygenates usually get into drinking water as a result of gasoline spills. When there's improper gasoline disposal, or there's a gasoline leakage from underground storage tanks, oxygenates in soil can be dissolved in rainwater, and then they're carried into the soil in the groundwater and used as a drinking water source. So that's how they get in. But how are people exposed to oxygenates in drinking water? So exposure means actually getting the contaminant into the body and ingesting it, inhaling it, or absorbing it through the skin. And exposure depends on the amount of the chemical contaminant dose, how long and how often someone's in contact with it. So if the groundwater is contaminated with oxygenates and it's used as a public or private source, people could be exposed to them by drinking water or by breathing oxygenates and evaporate from the water during activities such as cooking, bathing, or showering. And some oxygenates can also be absorbed through the skin. So what are the health risks? Well, the health risks from oxygenates, as all chemicals, depends on the toxicity, but they depend on individual characteristics that can cause a lot of problems, such as effects on the central nervous system, and that can include headaches, lightheadedness, stupor, dizziness, nausea, feelings of disorientation or confusion, and some short-term health effects from high-level exposure are likely similar to that. The most severe effect is birth defect, is fetal alcohol syndrome or something like that, or a serious lifelong condition characterized by birth defects and mental disabilities. So they can cause serious harm. Two oxygenates, MTB and TAM, can cause cancer in laboratory animals if they're exposed to high levels for most of their lifetime. If the other ones can cause cancer in humans, it's not known. So are there standards for gasoline oxygenates in drinking water? In New York, MTB has a drinking water standard of 10 milligram in public drinking water systems, and the other oxygenates have a public drinking water standard of 50 mcg. And these public drinking water standards are used as guidelines when evaluating oxygenate contamination in private water supplies, but there's currently no federal standards for individual oxygenates for public water systems. So finally, what should I do if gasoline oxygenates are detected in my drinking water? The presence of fuel oxygenate in a private water supply suggests that there may be a spill nearby, and the exposures from environmental contamination are generally lower than the exposure levels that are known to cause health effects. However, if there are oxygenates detected in your drinking water, you can take practical steps to minimize these contaminants. These measures could be using bottled water for drinking, cooking, increasing ventilation during bathing and showering, as well as reducing the duration of bathing and showering. Now, with all this being said, it's extremely important with everything that can get into your water, especially things like these gasoline oxygenates, that you're always testing your water for contaminants or other problems.